Hi there, welcome back to the YouTube channel. So, got it wrong in my last video. The replay of the stream's going up tomorrow, so keep your eyes out for that. And while you're here, hit the subscribe button, help me out. Help me get some more numbers subscribed to my YouTube channel here. But I've just got back from the pre-release for March of the Machine, and it went badly. Let's just say that. I went 1 and 3. Had a great pool, have to say, but didn't really have any removal. Didn't have anything that really helped me control the board at all. I just had lots of big creatures, one of which is this deck tech that you're going to see today. And the card I'm talking about is Kogla and Yidaro. 2 double red, double green for a 7/7 ape dinosaur turtle. And when it enters the battlefield, you choose one. It gains trample and haste until the end of turn, which is nice. Or it fights target creature you don't control. And if you manage to get it back in your hand somehow, you can pay 2, a red and a green to discard it, destroy up to 1 target artifact or enchantment, shuffle it into your library from your graveyard, then draw a card. Last ability, probably not much use in Commander, because I'm pretty sure you can't do that from the command zone, though I may be proven wrong once this hits MTGO. But the match I won, and I did take a couple of games here and there, but I didn't do particularly well, was basically every time I won a game, it was basically off the fact that I could fight the biggest creature on the board and win. And this really did inspire me, so I've gone and grabbed sort of like a few minutes this evening to do a really quick deck tech on this, so I can actually get a 4th deck tech up this week. And I've decided to really go down the fight side of it. So this is what the deck looks like. Got the usual selection of red and green lands, 10 forests, 10 mountains, all the other things I could find in my deck, in my collection really quickly here on MTGO. A bit of ramping, Mox Tantalite, Mana Crypt, Jeweled Lotus, which does serve its purpose, Sol Ring, Arcane Signet and Gruul Signet. But I really want to go down the fight and to a certain extent the bite route. So I was thinking about this and I started building the deck, and then I realised we have things from Ixalan that have Enrage, that do wonderful things when they're dealt damage. And since we're going to be fighting a lot, it seemed like a really good plan to put as many of these in as we could. So here we go for the deck tech, and you can see some of them up the top here already. But let's go through it. So 1-drops. We've got Collected Voyage. We need to ramp up our mana. I will be pumping as much mana into this as I can when I cast it, because I want to get as many basic lands into play as possible, because at the end of the day, Kogla and Yidaro cost 6. As soon as it dies, it's 8. Dies again, it's 10. So on and so forth. You're not really worried about it dying, because you do want it to be fighting, but you need to make sure you can recast it. So we've got to make sure that Collective Voyage goes off, and we're pumping at least 5 or 6 additional mana into it. So bear that in mind when you're playing this. To help with the mana side, obviously, it's a red deck, so Dockside is here. And this really does serve a dual purpose in this deck, because we need the treasure tokens to make sure we can cast everything. And then we start going into the fight and the bite spells, because they start in the 2-drop, and we haven't got a lot of creatures in 2-drop. So we've got Fall of the Hammer, deals damage equal to its power to another creature, so it's a bite, not a fight. Ancient Animist is a fight, and it's really nice if you cast this on Kogla, because obviously it's a legendary, so it gets the +1/+1 counter, and then it fights. Bite Down deals damage, so we've got a bite. Inscription of Abundance is a fight, and we get to put some +1/+1 counters on a creature. Master's Rebuke, target creature deals damage equal to its power to target creature or planeswalker you don't control. So another bite. Ruthless Predation is a fight spell. It's a sorcery though, so the instants are slightly better. I prefer the instants, but we'll go with a fight if sorcery if we have to, especially when we get a nice +1/+2 bonus on it. Savage Punch is obviously another fight spell, and since all of our creatures tend to be over power 4, the ferocious side of it will go off quite regularly. Sylvan Carotids, just in here, so we've got a bit of hexproof mana ramp, and then obviously Gruul Signet, Arcane Signet there. Over onto the 3-drops, we get the first Enraged Dinosaur, and that is Thrilled Death Spitter. When it's dealt damage, it deals 2 damage to target opponent or planeswalker. Okay, so it gets to shock something if you kill off some of their small stuff. Soul's Fires is another bite. Target creature you control deals damage equal to its power to any target. Tail Slash is another one, which is a bite. So we're getting there. Hammer of Porphyros is purely here to make sure we get haste on all our creatures so we can start attacking the turn they come in. Ambuscade is another fight spell. Yeah, no, bite spell that gets a +1/+0, so that's quite nice. Cultivate gives a bit of ramp, and Growing Rights helps us dig down into our creatures. Raging Raptors is the next unrage one. We like this one because it helps us get our mana out, so we will be using this to do fight spells on smaller stuff, which is great. Ravenous Daggertooth, same idea, but gives us a bit of life if we need it. It's a little bit weaker though. Notice there's only, Raging Raptor is a little bit better because it's 2/3. Ravenous Daggertooth, a little bit weaker because it's 3/2. The extra power is nice if you're attacking, but at the end of the day, you want to make sure you can keep your creatures in play when they've got enrage. That's why we have the Elixir of Immortality here, just so we can shuffle everything back in when it goes pear-shaped. Ronus the Indomitable. Now, it can't attack or can't block, but it can fight. And with the Death Touch and Indestructible, it means it will kill most of the other the other creatures that you can fight or bite with that haven't got Indestructible. It will take them out because of the Death Touch. Bear that in mind. It's really useful in this deck. Savage Stomp is a fight, and because a lot of our creatures are dinosaurs, it's going to cost us one green mana most of the time. Time to feed. Choose target creature an opponent controls. When that creature dies this turn, you gain 3 life, and the target creature you control fights that creature. So a little bit of life going for us. Wood Elves helps us ramp, goes and gets one of the forests we need into our deck. And Boa Nylea. Because we've got so many of the bite spells that are instants, we can attack with our creatures. That means they then get Death Touch, and then we can cast our instants to bite all the creatures out of the way. So that's why we've gone with this. One of the new cards is in. This is something else I had in my pre-release kit, which really did work for me, but I still went 1 and 3. I'm not going to hide behind it. Tribute to the World Tree. We either get to make our creatures bigger with some +1/+1 counters, or we get to draw a card. I'm happy doing either in this deck. 3 green mana is a little bit of a push, but we should be able to get there with all the mana we have going eventually. So it's not something you really want in your opening hand, but you do want to see it fairly quickly. Domri Raid is in purely because it does do the -2 and fights, and if we do the +1 or we get up to the -7, it'll be amazing. But we do have one way of doing it, but it's probably not going to come off that often. But it's the -2 fight is what we've got it here for. We've got Defile of Instinct in. First strike, 4/4. When you cast a red permanent spell, it deals 1 damage to any target, so pings people. Maniform Hellkite is just in because we do get a lot of the bite and fight spells, and we might as well get some little dragons off them that we can attack with in the air, so hence why it's here. Zari, Archduke of Avarice, is also in, just so we can give our creatures haste. And then, the Devil could help, and if we can get the -6 off, we get an emblem at the beginning of the first combat phase on your turn. Untap target creature you control. After this phase, there is an additional combat phase. Will be really nice, but it's just here to do the haste and the +1/+0 if we need it to. The next enraged creature is Cacophodon. I think I've said that right. 2/5 isn't great, but you can untap a permanent. And, have you ever seen what happens when you can get to untap your Growing Rights? Yep, I suspect you have, so bear that in mind. Guardian Project's obviously here to help us draw cards. Hunt the Weak is one of the more traditional fight spells. Ripjaw Raptor. Yep, deals damage, draw a card. Excellent, great target for your fight spells. Urban Daggertooth. I nearly said that wrong. I said turban nearly. Sorry for that. It's definitely Urban Daggertooth. This is the one where we can actually get our proliferation on the go. So, we can proliferate Domri Rad. We can proliferate a couple of the other planeswalkers that are coming up as well. So, it does help. And it's a 4/3, so it's a reasonable target for our fight spells. Samut, Tyrant Smasher, is also here. It pumps our creatures up, gives everything haste again. And we can, obviously the 2/2/+1 does help when we're doing all the fighting. Our Link Horde's here purely so we can get the transformation on the go. We get a wolf token, then we transform, and then we get to do the whole fight thing if we get it to -6, which would be really great when we can do it. Grand Warlord Rada, just so we can get some extra mana, and it's got haste, so it's a 3/4 that comes in and does things, which is cool. And Helena and Alina, the partners, are also here. We might as well chuck some +1/+1 counters around to make our creatures even more effective when we're fighting and biting everything else. Likewise, Karlak, Fury of Avarice, is also here. We like the extra combat step, so it's in, and it's quite, 5/4 for 5 mana. Pretty good going as far as I'm concerned. And then I thought we'd have something that's a little bit more damagey. Terror of the Peaks is purely here so we can play it and then use it to deal damage to something and then fight it and hopefully kill off any big creatures. So, and it's a 5/4 at the end of the day, which is pretty hard to deal with, and nobody likes playing against it, believe me, I know. Snapping Sailback, this gets better. So we fight with it. It gets a +1/+1 counter on it when it hopefully survives the fight. So it just means it's a bigger and bigger fight target, and it flashes, which is even better. So it could be a surprise blocker if we need it. Defiler of Vigor, might as well have the green one, and if we're going to have the red one, we'll have the green one as well to make our creatures bigger, especially since most of our creatures are green, so we get those extra +1/+1 counters. Glorious Sunrise, gain the life, add the land, do the trample haste, do the trample pump, or draw a card if you control a creature with power 3 or greater. All of them fairly good, but it's really here for the +1/+1 and the trample to the end of turn, so it does mean we go over the top occasionally. I've got a battle in. We've got the Invasion of Chandelar in, because I like the computer game Chandelar, and this isn't too bad. When it enters the battlefield, return up to 3 target permanent cards from your graveyard to your hand. So if we've had things that destroyed, we get them back. And then if we can get it to transform, the Leyline Surge is ridiculous. It's absolutely crazy. At the beginning of your upkeep, you may put a permanent card from your hand onto the battlefield. Yeah, that gets us around a lot of casting costs that could be proving us a problem shortly. Anyway, moving from there. Overgrown Amasaur is also here. Does the enrage thing. You get a little 1/1 sapling blocker. It can help. And then the new version of Vorinclex is also in the deck. Trample Reach. It's a lot cheaper than the original, than all the other Vorinclexes. And this one is nice because you get to go and find 2 forests, put them in your hand. And then if we've got 8 mana, which we should have quite rapidly, we get to do the Grand Evolution. So we mill 10 cards and put 2 creature cards from among the milled cards onto the battlefield. That's a start. Then we get to distribute 7 +1/+1 counters among any number of target creatures. Lovely. And then the final phase, once we get there. 1. This creature fights target creature you don't control for 1 mana of any colour. It's not even got to be green mana, it's just 1 mana. Love it. Great card. And to make sure we can win all this wonderful fight stuff, Unnatural Growth is here, so we can double up the power and toughness of each creature you control until the end of turn. Now, you could play Savandrel, Hunger Dominus in this slot if you wanted to, but I wanted something that would stay on the board. I am tempted to put this in, I will be honest, and I think, do you know what? I'm sitting here talking about it, and I've talked myself into it, so I'm going to take out the Glorious Sunrise, and I am going to put in Savandrel further up the thing. Glorious Sunrise was a little bit weak, but we keep the Unnatural Growth thing, so we like doubling up everything. Moving into the 6 drops, Fiendish Duo. If a source would deal damage to an opponent, it deals double that damage instead. So it gives you a nice way of punching through with that damage for your creatures when you get there. Sun-Crowned Hunters. When it gets enraged, it deals 3 damage to target opponent or planeswalker. So 6 with this in place. So that's pretty good. Garrick Savage Hunters also in. -2. Target creature you control deals damage equal to its power to another creature, or we reveal the top card, or -7. Creatures you control gain. You may have this creature aside its combat damage, though it wasn't block. Yeah, okay, I'll cope with that one. It's not the best version of Garrick in the world, but I quite like it for this deck. And then we've got the things where we need to make the beast. So we've got Rampaging Battlething. That's a given in this deck, I believe. Likewise, the Silverclad Frostodons are also here. When these gets enraged, everyone has to sack a permanent. It's not apart from us. We don't. They do. Obviously, Zofandrel, you've just seen me drop in, because I think it's still worth it in here. And then Gruul Rage Beast, probably one of the most unexpected gate crash cards you would expect to see in this deck. But when it enters, or when this enters, or another creature enters the battlefield under your control, you get to fight. And we like fighting in this deck, hence why it's here. Omnath gives us more tokens that we need, 5/5s. It goes quite well with the Rage Beast, hence why they're both here. And then the final enraged creature is Polyraptor, because if we can enrage this and get more copies of it and just keep making copy after copy after copy, it seemed quite good to me, hence why it's here. But anyway, like I said, this has been a really, well, it's not actually turned out to be that quick, but we've done it. This is my take on Kogla and Yidaro. I am looking forward to getting hold of this card and playing it on the stream at some stage. So, there's a link to my Twitch stream down below. Come and give me a follow over there. I'm sitting at 164 followers there, so a few more. come and play me on MTGO with this. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Leave me a comment if you think there's something really important I've missed from this deck tech today. And, hopefully I'll catch you on stream very soon. Hope you've enjoyed it. Let me know what you think. Take care. See you later. Bye.